What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another tropical forecast. So we have major update in the tropics. Hurricane Marco has now officially become a hurricane at 75 miles an hour. Hurricane warnings have been issued for Louisiana and Mississippi, and this could make landfall as early as tomorrow evening. So we are getting very close to having a Marco landfall, and then Laurel could possibly make landfall here 4 to 8 hours after Marco. So really going to be two landfalls, hurricane landfalls, possibly for Louisiana. Models have shifted to Texas for Laura, but I expect that to actually change here. But Laura is starting to thrive. Hurricane Marco really becoming a bigger threat here for Louisiana, as state of emergencies have been issued yesterday for Louisiana and Mississippi here. So really time to get prepared if you're in Louisiana. And Laura's continuing to thrive. The mountains did not take it apart. It is actually strengthened now to 50 miles an hour because it was at 45 earlier. And Laura expected to possibly become a hurricane in the Gulf and maybe become a Category 2. And the chance for a major hurricane with Laura have gone up here. But before we get into the video, we're going to check the tracks, timing, cone, who can impact it, strength, all of that here. But without further ado, let's go to this tropical forecast. Here's a look at now RI here on now Hurricane Marco. And actually look at this. Something very, very interesting here. It seems like it is trying to wrap around and make an eye here. So this guy actually could be very, very interesting here. This is kind of something that long wave IR can pick up before really satellite imagery does. But as you see, we're kind of having a little gap there between convection here. So here is the eye wall, right? Or here the eye wall. Where we have the strongest winds, where recon finds the strongest winds. Seems like there's a little trend here, like a little circle area less of convection. Obviously, it's not an eye yet because it still has a good amount of convection there, but it seems like it has been trying to really come out. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be an eye. I'm saying it's definitely being very interesting here. It definitely seems like it could very well try to wrap around to make an official eye here, but this is actually very, very organized here. You see the most convection there in the eye wall. Possibly soon to have the eye, as it is now officially a hurricane. Very, very interesting. We have some very interesting banding as well. Actually, I'm going to go to black pen, shall we? You can actually see it better. Some nice banding here. Very, very organized banding here. Then the low pressure is kind of right at the center. So this is actually very well organized. Category 1, I think. I was actually like, how is this not a hurricane? Like, look at this. And then at 12:30, then it officially became a hurricane here. But yeah, let's go and check that out there. So here's the National Hurricane. You're probably thinking, oh, they still only have a tropical storm for Marco, but they haven't updated the graphics here. I'm actually going to show you in the next slide here. That they have Hurricane Marco here. I'm going to show you, but this was officially a hurricane here as of 12:30 p.m. Eastern. They just have to update the graphics. They might just do it at 2 p.m. or even 1:30 because it's a special advisory. I guess you could say that it's going to be a special advisory, but I will show you here officially where it says Hurricane Marco, if you're probably wondering. But here's what we have so far. The National Hurricane Center for Laura, 50 miles an hour, has actually gone up 5 miles an hour, and pressure keeps on dropping. Even though it's gone over a ton of mountains, it's continuing to drop, and now it's at 1,004 and moving west-northwest at 21 miles an hour. So if it's moving west-northwest, this is possibly going to make landfall in Cuba, come out near the Keys, and possibly make landfall in Louisiana. A lot of models, or a decent amount of models, have shifted to Texas because they show it kind of going south of Cuba and hitting Texas, but I do not see that happening actually. In the new center have actually been found more north than expected. You guys can check out that source there, but this low has been found more north than expected, so it's expected to actually make landfall in Cuba, and that's going to bring a bigger target for Louisiana. But Marco expected to make landfall right here, just into the southeastern coast of Louisiana there. But let's go and check out now where it says Hurricane Marco. So here it is, a special advisory here, Hurricane Marco. Marco becomes a hurricane, life-threatening storm surge and hurricane force wind expected along portion of the U.S. coast there. But I'll actually check out all of these later in the video here. And then we have also Tropical Storm Laura, but they just haven't updated the graphics here. But as you see, we have Hurricane Marco here, special advisory here, or special alert from the National Hurricane Center. But let's continue looking now at the satellite imagery here for Tropical Storm Laura. So actually, we have a recon heading into Laura here. It's actually over Florida right now. It's going to be heading into lower in the next coming hours here. Should have data by 2 p.m. Hopefully, let's hope for that. But as you see, look, Laura looks very good. I mean, it's gone over so many mountains. It's gone affected by the mountains of Puerto Rico and gone over Espanola, and it is still here thriving here. Actually, this center was found more north. I believe it's right here. This low pressure was actually, people thought it was right here, down here, and that's why they thought it was going to go to Texas because it's going to avoid Cuba. But it's actually right here. It's going to go through Cuba and possibly go out through the between the Keys here. So the Keys, the Florida Keys, could actually see stronger wind gusts than expected, and this could mean a bigger threat for possibly Louisiana. I mean, I never said it's going to hit Texas, but people are like, oh, the 0Z shifted to Texas. It's going to hit Texas now. Actually, I still don't see it's going to hit Texas here. So if you're in Texas, go ahead and prepare if you want, but I'm just saying I wouldn't prepare for really a direct landfall. But if you want to prepare, just go ahead and prepare. I mean, it's better being safe than sorry. But really, if anyone needs to prepare for these, it's going to be definitely Louisiana. I think Louisiana definitely needs to prepare now, if not evacuate, for Marco, especially if you're in the coast. Cause we're gonna see possibly 4 to 6 foot storm surge for a Category 1 here, maybe even a strong Category 1, and then Laura. Also, Mississippi and Alabama, you guys might as well prepare for as well Marco. And then Laura could possibly become a big threat for Louisiana, maybe Mississippi. So definitely looking really good. A lot of convection here. Very nice banding, circular formation there, banding. So very organized storm. But let's go and check out details in the cone and all that advisories for Marco. But before we do that, actually, I forgot I was going to show this. I actually forgot I was going to show this before I showed details on Marco. But here's actually a visible satellite imagery here on Laura. As you see, it looks very, very good for a 50-mile-an-hour storm. Look at that banding here. You have that. You got the southern banding there. We're even seeing this banding getting into Jamaica here near Kingston, I believe. That is the capital, I believe, of Jamaica. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kingston. You guys are already getting the banding here, as well as Cuba. You guys are already seeing that banding as well. It's a very large area. Puerto Rico still has a couple cloud cover. Actually, I don't know why it's moving, but Puerto Rico still seeing some cloud cover here. Look at that, some cloud cover even all the way to Jamaica. This is actually a very large storm. It actually looks very, very organized. A pretty organized 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm. We'll see if it's stronger though with the recon, but nice banding here for sure. The low pressure obviously has been found right here now. More to the north, it's actually a low. There's where that low pressure next to possibly go like that. And that is where we expect this track to go. But now we'll check details on Hurricane Marco, the track, National Hurricane Center, advisories, and all that. So here's a look now at actually the 11 a.m. update on National Hurricane Center. It will be possibly different compared to the 2 p.m. update. But as you see, hurricane warnings have been issued for portions of the southeastern Louisiana coast and even portions of the Mississippi coast there in the red. So if you're in the red, you're under a hurricane warning, and I will actually consider evacuating or kind of moving more north in your state. So if you're like if you're near like maybe Gulfport, I would probably go up to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. If you're near New Orleans, if you're in any areas in a hurricane warning, I would consider moving or driving more north in your state. And also, these states, Mississippi and Louisiana, are under state of emergency, so I still would rather consider evacuating. Better being safe than sorry. But I see though, it shows it making landfall around 7, more like 5 p.m. Monday. But as you see, they show it making landfall, the tropical storm here, and that actually will change. That will definitely change because they should be in a hurricane later on. Actually, I think at the 5 o'clock update, but it's now a hurricane now. So I expect this to be a hurricane for landfall. So that's why I'm saying it's going to change. So expect a hurricane landfall for Louisiana. They have extended now hurricane watches furthermore into New Orleans, furthermore into the central Louisiana coast, and also tropical storm watches that have now been issued for the far western panhandle and Mobile, and tropical storm warnings maintained for areas near Gulfport, maintained for New Orleans as well. New Orleans is actually under tropical storm warning and also hurricane watch. Hurricane warnings are just outside of New Orleans. I would not rule out the possibility of New Orleans getting a hurricane warning rather soon, especially if it's going to be a bit stronger. I'm not saying this Marco will be a category 1, or sorry, category 2. I do see it though possibly becoming like 90 miles an hour, maybe like what Hannah did really. But that's what the National Hurricane Center has right now at the 11 a.m. update. Let's go and refresh what we have here. This is actually 11:30 here, so this is actually still rather, yeah, that's actually hasn't updated yet because the National Hurricane Center hasn't updated yet. But hurricane warnings here, as you see just outside of New Orleans, we have it for much of the southeastern coast there near the parish, and just for Mississippi as well. So if you're in the Mississippi coast and southeastern Louisiana coast, I would consider evacuating. As you see, Mobile still under tropical storm watch. Tropical storm watches have moved a bit more into further inland Mississippi areas, further inland to Louisiana, New Orleans, and also near areas near Gulfport. And that red still under tropical storm warnings. Expect tropical storm force winds sustained and even gusts, maybe even hurricane gusts as well. If you're in the hurricane warning, they're going to be seeing hurricane sustained winds and extremely strong gusts. Pensacola, I think you guys might, depending how strong it gets here, and if it moves a bit more eastward like that, I think Pensacola, that could actually see tropical storm watches rather soon. And then we have hurricane watches now for the south central Louisiana coast as well. So if you're in a hurricane watch and if you're in a hurricane warning, I would definitely consider evacuating and preparing now, because this will make landfall in around 30 hours here. This is actually pretty close from now. If you're in a hurricane watch, like I said, I would watch out. If you're in a tropical storm warning and watch, is all up to you, really. If you're in a tropical storm watch, I think it's fine if you stay, but it's up to you. If you're in a tropical storm warning, though, it's really up to you at that point, because I mean you're going to be seeing tropical storm wind gusts, maybe hurricane wind gusts. So you are going to be expecting hurricane wind at some point. So really up to you. Here's now the peak storm surge here, actually now updated since yesterday. We now have 4 to 6 foot storm surge here from areas near Morgan City there. From Morgan City all the way up to Lake Borge, we can see 4 to 6 foot storm surge. So that's actually crazy. And this 3 foot storm surge is enough to pick up a car. 6 foot storm surge is enough to possibly go over a 6. I mean, 6 foot male or 6 foot person. I mean, that could definitely go over them for sure. I mean, this is definitely deadly storm surge for sure. This is life-threatening storm surge because it could easily drown someone at 6 feet, even 5 feet, even 4 feet. Really depends. Really, there's gonna be some strong currents as well. And I mean, we're gonna have 2 hurricanes. One expected to possibly may go like this. I think Marco's gonna be closer to New Orleans than people think. I think it's gonna make landfall like right here, or maybe even right here. And then I do see kind of not Isaias. I do see Laura possibly making landfall like this or something like that, or maybe even like this near Morgan City. I think Morgan City has a good chance for Laura. 2 to 4 for storm surge for Sabine Pass, which is in the Texas border to Morgan City. So even as far as the Texas border, we can see 2 to 4 foot storm surge, and then even 2 to 4 storm surge for Gulfport, Ocean Springs, and Mississippi, and 1 to 3 foot storm surge for the Florida and Alabama border, including the Mobile Bay. 1 to 3 foot storm surge. So we can still have storm surge high enough to pick up a car as far as the far western panhandle. And it shows you how big this storm could really affect all the way from here to there. I mean, pretty crazy, yeah. Not Tracks is actually the 6Z, I believe, the 6Z tracks. So these are old. These are I think 11 a.m. or 10 a.m. So we'll have to wait and see how they change and hope if they're. I think I'm definitely gonna make another video this afternoon for sure. But as you see, a lot of tracks now kind of moving towards now a kind of parish, southeastern Louisiana parish landfall there. More obviously getting towards New Orleans. Obviously, New Orleans is right here, I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong. And a lot of getting near New Orleans for sure. I mean, I think this could actually go like this and possibly maybe go over New Orleans or just to the east, just to the west of New Orleans. But here is kind of the cone. I'll consider this the cone for Marco here. So there's 24 hours. This is 48 hours. 72 hours. So this is going to make landfall rather soon. I mean, rather soon. But you see, even malls show even 24 hours right here. I mean, it's gonna make a landfall in around 30-ish hours here. I think New Orleans is definitely gonna be the biggest city at threat or at risk. I think Gulfport as well, Baton Rouge as well, Morgan City, Lake Charles might even see little impacts here. But this is kind of the general track here that's possible. I think New Orleans is definitely going to be at a higher risk than it was at yesterday. I don't know why, but I just see the intensity guidance hasn't really updated. But this is actually right here. It's here at 65 knots at 70 miles an hour. I expect these to actually kind of go like this to like near maybe 80 knots and then kind of weaken. But I can't really show this because, I mean, this is kind of really old. So I kind of thought it was going to update. But here's now the National Hurricane Center, the latest one, the 11 a.m. So this is also not the newest one. We have to wait till 2 o'clock for that. But I'll actually do a video on that later. As you see, though, 11 a.m. as of today, this center was found more north. It's actually between the Haiti coastline. And people kind of thought it was right here, right here. And then gonna go south of Cuba, and that's why they thought Texas. But actually, this center was found like right here. So it's actually this center was found more north than what the National Hurricane Center has. So as you see, the National Hurricane Center shows it actually at some point going south of Cuba. I do not see that. I actually disagree. I really disagree with the National Hurricane Center coming like this. I know I've never really agreed with them. But they show it making landfall basically near Lake Charles into the Texas-Louisiana border. And that's why people are thinking, oh, Texas is going to get hit. Texas is going to get hit. I mean, I really don't see that. This is what I see. I see it going inland of Cuba, more north, and then coming out near the Keys, kind of going like this, and then making landfall like that. This is what I see. That's exactly what I see here. I have a couple people that agree with me. So it's kind of be like in the far northern cone. Where the far northern cone is, I see that's where the eye will be. So I think it's going to bring in a bigger threat for the Keys. And I'm not making that up because the center was found more north just a couple of minutes ago. So I'm not making that up. I think at 2 o'clock, the National Hurricane Center better move this more north. If they continue to show it going south of Cuba, I'm going to kind of rage at this point because I understand what the National Hurricane Center is doing, but I do expect it to come out here near the Keys here, bigger impacts for Havana possibly, and then make landfall kind of near the exact area as Marco did, which is why I'm saying it's going to be a big concern. It's going to be a lot more storm surge, and I do see Laura being stronger. I do see Laura being stronger than Marco, especially if it has a whole Gulf coast or Gulf water to go through. Marco, I mean, only had this. Laura has all of this to go. And also, it hasn't weakened over the mountains, so that's a different story. It's actually 50. Tropical storm warnings have been removed for Puerto Rico, but tropical storm warnings have been issued for all of the Haiti coast and all of Cuba coast. And tropical storm watches do maintain for the Bahamas and the Florida Keys here. But again, I disagree with this. I actually think this could become a hurricane right when it comes out like this. And I do think Laura has a shot to become a major. I'm not saying it will. I think it has a shot to become a major, though. I really do. I think a Category 2 is very likely for Laura. So I'm kind of really concerned for Louisiana and Mississippi because if Marco's going to be Category 1, going to bring 4 or 6 feet storm surge alone, and then 48 hours, a stronger hurricane comes in, going to possibly bring more storm surge, more rain, stronger winds, I think this is going to be a very bad situation for Louisiana. I really do because one Category 1 landfall is already significant enough. But having two possibly making landfall in the exact region, that's kind of a little worrisome. But as you see, these tracks are actually old. These are the 11 a.m. So as you see, they all kind of going south of Cuba. I do not see that at all. They kind of show it making landfall in Cuba, then going south into the coast, and then that's why they all show Louisiana and Texas there. You see, a lot of models still show Louisiana, but all the way near Lake Charles and far western Louisiana. This is where I think it's going to go. So this letter was like around right here. So I think it's going to go right here, kind of north like this. Actually, no, that's not what I think. It's going to go like this, make landfall in Cuba, then come out near the Keys, then make landfall right there. That's what I'm thinking. I know my what I think is way far out there. But trust me, guys, I know that these are all old. These are like 2 hours old. So I wouldn't trust these 100%, and I wouldn't even trust tracks 100% still. But I expect these to change, and I expect these tracks to move more north because that low pressure has been found more north, and it hasn't weakened over the mountains at all. It's actually strengthened. So as you see now, tracks or intensity, they're still not showing this they're showing this. Yeah, they showed it at 50 miles an hour, and it's actually kind of staying at where it is right now. I think that's decently agreeable. And they actually blowing up when it comes out into the water, possibly becoming a category 2 or strong category 1. More and more models are getting this to category 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 at category 2, 1 at category 3, and 1 at category 4. I don't think it's going to be a category 4, but I think there is a shot. I think there is a shot this could be a category 3. But there's obviously a better probability to be category 1 or 2. But category 3 is not out of the picture. It really isn't. But as you see, the tracks are slowly getting higher and higher, which is a concern. And yeah, that's definitely what we need to look out for.